What's up guys, Dan here, Coalcracker, Bushcraft. So you might feel when you hear the word grommet or see a grommet, you want to smash it like I did, just absolutely destroy it because you get mad that it doesn't have a tie-out loop on that exact item. But grommets honestly have really got a bad rap over the years in the bushcraft and survival community, somewhat because of these tie-outs being so strong, and they work so well when putting like diagonal pressure this way on our shelter systems, where grommets on the other hand, if they are in place like that and not installed properly, when you pull really hard, this starts to happen. They start to pull out, and then over time, guess what? This grommet can just work itself out really easily, and you're left just with a hole like this. Not good at all. So today what we're going to do is we're going to just take a look at why this happens, how we can avoid this from happening, because the reality is that if you buy packs or bags and some old tents, maybe a nice big canvas tent you get somewhere, you're going to see some grommets on it, and sometimes from a production standpoint it's just a more effective way to go than putting tie-outs on. So if you understand that, it'll make life a little bit easier for you. Alright, so the first thing you need to understand is why this happens with the grommet. So a grommet, when you place it in material, you literally have to cut the material. So you're cutting the fibers of the material, and then that is of course creating a weak point. So I can stick my fingers in this and rip, compared to material below it that's nothing's done. I can't just stick my fingers in anything and I can pull super hard, and the probability it's going to rip is very, very low. So that's why we have a failure, if a failure at all happens. So there are ways to avoid this, and that's what we're going to look at first. Alright, so giving you a bird's eye view of the grommet set itself, we have a bottom portion that looks like a top hat, and then we have the washer portion. So the bottom top hat portion, okay, the top hat rises to a certain height, and when I place my material over that, okay, that material didn't eat up a lot of that height coming to the top of this grommet. So when I put my washer on this way, there's a lot of extra metal material sticking up. Now that's not too much of a problem, because when we take our setting tool and our anvil and we set this, all this extra metal rolls over, pinching that down. But the problem is that it's not pinching that much. So although the grommet is nice and tight together, as you can see this one right here that we pulled out earlier, okay, nice and tight together, big rollover, okay, there's not a lot of material in there to provide strength. So an easy way to combat this is to, number one, punch another hole in material or get some more material and simply fold it over. So in our case, if I would just take my punch and I punch out another hole and I have the ability to fold this over, now we have two layers of material in there, which is going to provide a lot more strength to this grommet. But if you're in a situation like you're repairing a tent or an old backpack and the grommet needs to be replaced, the best option is going to be to take something thicker like a piece of leather and utilize that in order to fill that space in, okay? Now, when you put your spacer and your top piece of your grommet, your washer on, you still need to be able to feel some of that top hat, okay? So when I put this in place and I feel like that, I can still feel some of that top hat, and then of course it's going to compact itself down as I hammer that. So if I just take my anvil now and I slide this over like this and I hammer this in place, I set my grommet, I still have a nice roll on the grommet, okay, but now it really strengthened this side to side, because when this pulls, there's a lot more material in there that needs to stretch in order to loosen the grommet up and have this happen. So that's tip number one when it comes to installing or replacing grommets. Adding a spacer in there is going to give you a lot more strength around the grommet itself and avoid pullouts a lot more. So this is a really good way to start. Now, if you're going to have some type of tarp, or you're making your own tarp, because remember it's bush crafting, we craft a lot of things. If you're going to be doing this yourself, you can take this step one step further in order to really lock this thing in place and almost alleviate any any chance of that grommet pulling out, and that is adding some stitching to this. So what I did here was I not only added some leather to this. Again, this can be fabric. You can add a couple layers of fabric in here. All right, set my grommet, making it stronger, but then what I went ahead and done is I sewed around that grommet. Now, I did a big outside one and a smaller inside one because this was just a square piece of leather I had. So you don't need this much leather around it, but if you want to, by all means, you definitely can to make this thing just even super bulletproof, okay? Which that's what we have done at this point. So this will really make this strong, because now when I pull this, it's really locked in place. So that's gonna eliminate a lot of this happening and grommet pull out. So this is a great way to not only repair a pull out, you can put your new grommet in with your new leather piece and sew, but you can also add grommets to your projects this way in order to keep them super tight. Now I'm of course at my shop, so we have machines. I'm like, I just run around. So you'd have to sit and hand stitch this, but if you take your time, you can make it come out really nice and really strong. So today, that's my hot tip for all of you when it comes to using grommets and repairing grommets. Again, grommets aren't the end of the world. When you see them on a product, it's not something that you should totally stay clear of. Normally, the manufacturers put it there for a reason. Sometimes it is priced because it's just quicker and more efficient than adding those loops wherever those little loops are, okay? They do take a lot more time and a lot more energy to put in compared to just slamming grommets in. So that might be an option, but then it's also might be because of the product itself. Like our ponchos have grommets in them. We do have a multiple layered, but we don't want loops hanging off the ends, okay? They snag and they catch on stuff a lot easier than this. So lots of different variables going on there. Just assess it, but now at least you know how to strengthen that and fix it and make it all better. So if you like this video, hit like and subscribe down below. You can also check us out over at coalcrackerbushcraft.com for all of our gear, our blog, and our classes, which our new schedule will be coming out probably the end of the month, early November. I know a lot of people have been emailing us about that, getting the classes for 2024. It's going to be awesome. And we still do have a couple classes left, so if you're interested, head over there and check it out. So, all right, that's all I got. I got to get back to work, and then until the next video, stay in the woods.